everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. This is Light and Lavender, where we talk about all things books and my own writing journey. And I realised I bought a lot of books in May, so get strapped in for a May book haul. In May, I ended up with 8 new books. I don't know how I managed it, but I have got 8 new books. 1/2 technically have been gifted, but everything else I have bought myself, so I will go through the ones that I bought and also the one that I have been gifted in exchange for a review at some point in the future. The first book that I bought in May was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I bought this to go along with Vanessa Wonderness and Rebecca Reed, their courtathon that they were doing. They started with the first book. We read this in May, but I bought this to join in. So this book follows a girl named Feyre who ends up being taken into the Spring Court by the ruler of the Spring Court after she has killed a fairy. Now, there is some other things at play here, and there's a lot of sort of plot intrigue. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and also a retelling from the Scottish borders. But yeah, I did not know that until recently, and that's the retelling. I think it was actually called Tamlin. So if you want to look that up, pretty much this is that plot. I didn't realise just how close that plot was, and then I looked it up, but it's a really interesting book. I gave it 4 stars, but I don't know if I feel a bit less towards it now I've read it and it's been a few weeks. But it's an okayish book, and yeah, the first one that I bought in May. The second book that I bought in May was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I have not read this yet, and I've not seen the Netflix thing either. I know it's a horror, and it deals with some sort of dystopian, apocalyptic style vibes, and I bought this so I could read it and try and compare and contrast for my own dystopian post-apocalyptic book. I haven't really read much in that genre. I've seen a lot of zombie things and vampire and that style of dystopian, but I feel like the setting in this book might be quite similar, maybe. Not quite, because it's different styles. Mine's written in the sense of a diary, whereas I think this is just pure narrative, but I wanted to try and see if I've encapsulated any of those genres. So I'm going to be reading this. I am a little worried because I don't like horror, so if the book ends up in the freezer, it's because I can't deal with this. The next 2 books I bought at the same time, but I will talk about them a little bit separately. So the first one that I picked up was Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. I didn't actually know who the author was of this. I watched the film for this when I was at university about 10 years ago, and my friend had the book, but I never got around to reading it. I was going to borrow it and then just never did. I really enjoyed the film, and I've always wanted to read the book, so when this was 75p in my local charity shop, I couldn't resist but pick it up. I don't know when I'll get around to reading it, but I'm excited to. I can't really remember the full plot. I know it focuses on one particular woman who becomes a geisha, but I can't remember the intricacies or the details of it. There's little snippets of flashbacks coming back to me, but I wanted to get around to reading this one and just sort of comparing it and contrasting it, and maybe it will appear in one of my book adaptation videos in the future. That brings me on to the 4th book that I bought, which was the same day as I bought Memoirs of a Geisha, and that is The 7 Deaths of Helen Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a sort of murder mystery. I think there's one character who's trying to stop Evelyn from dying, and Groundhog Day, he repeats the day, but coming back as a different person to try and track down the killer and stop it from happening. I liked that sort of time turny issue within the storyline. I like that sort of theme, so I'm excited to read this. I picked this up from Oxfam for £2, and I thought £2, and it's got lovely red sprayed edges, so Again, I don't know when I'll get around to reading it, but it's definitely one that I've seen mentioned all over the place on BookTube in the past year. So I thought, yeah, I'll pick it up. Why not? Why not try something a bit different? Murder mysteries aren't really my thing. I'm normally sort of like very firmly science fiction, fantasy / historical fiction. But let's branch out a little bit. Let's see what other books I can read and I might enjoy. The 5th book that I bought in May was Crescent Sea, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. I got this on eBay for, I think it was about £20, because they're not selling this hardcover version anymore, and I read the Kindle version in May as well, and I really loved it, and I thought, well, now that I love the book, I might as well buy a copy of this hardcover because stunning. Look at it. I love it so much. And so I bought this. This focuses on Bryce Quinlan, who is I think she's like 25? She's like a 25-year-old half-fae, and she is made to help with a murder investigation with one of the angels, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, but he's a bad boy angel. I love that it's like, it was written in 2020, well, published in 2020, and it's still got like that bad guy trope, and I'm just like, it's just like such trashy romance-ness, but I can't help but love it. It's my jam. He's the brooding sullen guy. I feel like that's been a trope for like the past 20 years. Maybe not 20, but like maybe 15, and it's like, yeah, I'm down for it. I will read it, whatever. There's a massive sort of spoiler about 5-10% in, which is the catalyst for everything that happens in here. I feel like if you don't know what happens, then it's good to not know, because it is more of a sucker punch, and the ending of this was wonderful. I loved the way that it was done, and yeah, I've read this and loved it, and now I have the hardcover just to proudly display on my shelves, even though I've only got one bookshelf and there's not really room for it, but I needed it. I needed this book. The 6th book that I bought in May was The Ivies by Alexa Dunn. Alexa Dunn is also an author-tuber, and this is the 3rd book that she has released. She is a traditionally published author-tube person, which is why I originally jumped onto it, because I was trying to decide if I wanted to go down that traditional path, but as a US author, I don't think there's some similarities, but I don't think it's overly similar. She's got some really great writing advice, and I thought, seeing as this is her 3rd book, I would try and pick this up. I bought this on pre-order. It was released on the 25th of May. I picked it up on the 29th of May, I think the 28th of May it got delivered. And this is set in a private school in America, and it's surrounding a group of girls called the Ivies who are trying to get into the Ivy Leagues within America, and pretty much, I can't remember what the tagline is that she had. Well, the back says admissions are killer, but this is a murder mystery thriller type book, and someone dies, and it's trying to figure out who's done that. I love the idea. I love the idea that it's in a school setting. It's quite a short book. I was expecting it to be larger. I think it's just over 300 pages. I don't know when I'm reading this. I might read it in June, because I feel like it's a very good sort of summer vibe book, just a quick, easy, thrillery vibe. I don't really read thrillers a lot. I've read a few and they've been really hit and miss with me. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't, so I hope I really like this, because I love Alexa Dunn and I would love to be able to continue supporting her in the future. The first 2 books that she wrote were retellings, Jane Eyre and Sense and Sensibility, I think, and I need to pick those books up, because I feel like they've been more my jam. They're like space opera-esque, but she's definitely moving into the thriller genre now, so I hope I like this, because if I do, then it means that I can continue reading, and also I can start reading some thriller books. The last 2 books I got, well, technically it's a book and a snippet. I received free from the author, who is an independently published author, and they are The Gilded King by Josie Jaffray, and also The Blue Empress, which is a Sovereign short story. So this, I was gonna read this along with this to do like a full review, but it turns out this book, even though it's a Sovereign short story and this is the first in the Sovereign trilogy, this is sort of like a bridge between the previous series that Josie Jaffray has written and the new trilogy that this is the start of. So I kind of don't want to read this until I've read the first series, because I feel like there might be some mild spoilers. So I'm excited to read this though when I finally get round to it. This is a YA fantasy based in sort of like, I want to say like a medieval-esque kingdom style thing. There's vampires, there's zombies, it's fantasy. The author said that she had some copies spare. She was looking for book reviewers and bookstagrammers to read a copy and review it, and I said, well, I'm not really a book blogger anymore, but I do booktube, so I'd be happy to take a copy and let people know about it. So here I am with a copy of this book. I don't really know much else about it apart from that. I think it's like I think there's a romance element to it a little bit as well from what I've read. When I looked through this, the previous series looked like it was a paranormal romance series, and I hope I really like the writing style because I am a sucker for paranormal romance. So yeah, I say I only read fantasy, but paranormal romance counts within that like fantasy genre area. So if I really like this, I hope I really like this, because then I've got some more paranormal romance books that I can go out and buy and also really enjoy. I don't really know much about this, but there will be a reading vlog done of this in the next couple of weeks. I've not started it yet, but I am excited to start reading this. So those are the 8 books that I picked up in May. I'm not supposed to be buying any more books, and that didn't include like any of like the fairy loot books that I got. So I'm doing well with not including any more books within my TBR. If you've read any of the books that I've picked up, let me know what your thoughts are to them down below and which ones I should get to next. I kind of have an idea what I'm reading for June, but I'm not putting too many books in just in case I get the chance to read some more. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to read some of these, but I have no idea which one to pick up first. I've now got like decision fatigue. I've got so many books to read, I don't know where to start. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more of my videos, don't forget to hit subscribe. There's a new one out every single week. I hope you're all well and you're all staying safe, and until next time, bye!